Citizens of Holyoke, we're about to begin the joint committee of the Holyoke City Council and the Holyoke School Committee. I'll call this meeting to order and I'll recognize those members present. Representing the City Council is myself, Kevin Jourdain. I see to my left is City Councilor Howard Graney. Representing, and I would note that our City Council President, Tessa Murphy Romboletti, was unable to attend due to a prior conflict. She does give her best regards to everyone, and she will catch up with us afterwards. I want to recognize the members of the school committee that are with me. To my right, I see school committee member Collimore is here. I see school committee member Tensley Williams is with us, and I see school committee member Willahen. So we have 5 out of the 6 committee members. I'll also acknowledge other special guests that are with us. From the City Council, I see City Councilor Ocasio is with us in the room, and I see on Zoom one of our newest school committee members, LeBron Martinez, is with us. So we welcome Gladys to the meeting. Good to see you. And without further ado, I think I've acknowledged everyone. We will begin.
Move to accept the minutes or approve the minutes of item 1.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to approve our minutes of June 13th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I would abstain, correct, because I was not here then?
You're not on this committee, Gladys, so you don't get a vote. It's just the 6 of us, but you're a guest.
Oh, okay, no problem,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'd like to make a motion that we take item 4 out of order off the table because of our guests.
And I just want to let Holyoke Media know we are getting some background feed sound, and it seems to be coming from either Holyoke Media. Okay, that's much better. Thank you, Holyoke Media, for muting. Councilor Graney, can you please restate your motion?
Motion to take item 4 out of order, please.
Okay. Second. Motion's been made and seconded to take up item number 4 out of order and suspend our rules for that purpose. All in favor of that? Opposed, so moved? Okay, I'll read item number 4. Item number 4 comes to us by way of an order introduced by Councilor Jourdain, filed September 4th, 2024, ordered that the school receiver and Father Albert be invited to the joint committee of the City Council and School Committee to discuss the status of the school breakfast and lunch program in Holyoke. If they cannot attend, please send the City Council a letter to let us know if there are any concerns about the parochial school children losing their breakfast and lunch, and if it has been resolved satisfactorily, or if the matter is still unresolved from their perspective, and that the children might still lose out. Please keep us posted until resolved. So I would like to, number 1, give the report. I had an opportunity to speak to Father Albert. He reports to me that in his view, and that of the school principal, that the matter is resolved, and that I tried to dive into it. I'll hear the school department. Thank you all for I'll recognize the school department in a minute, perspective on it. He said there was some misunderstandings relative to different lunches and quantities, and that there was some potential that the parochial schools might lose their lunch, and there was some misunderstandings as to perhaps miscommunications between the parochial schools, Sodexo, the school department, and that ultimately, after a number of discussions, that it was worked out, and that while I think he felt that we needed to make sure everybody's doing a better job taking counts of how many lunches and breakfasts are needed, and he looked forward to making sure there's good communication lines with the schools and Sodexo in the future, and that he viewed it as the matter's resolved from their perspective. So I'd love to hear from the school department. Obviously, the reason I raised it was I got calls from parents and people that were affected by it, that there seemed to be how can I say it? There was a break in service or a gap, and that it finally ultimately got worked out. That folks were being told that they weren't going to get the lunch and the breakfast anymore. And I was glad to see that it did ultimately get worked out. So if the school department, if you guys could be kind enough, you're either welcome to join us here seated or speak at the microphone and introduce yourselves. Of course, I know Dr. Mahoney very well. If anybody would like to just address kind of a little background, if you would, as to what kind of happened from the school department's perspective, or I don't know if any of you represent also Sodexo, and just let us know kind of what happened, what do we make sure we don't have any future problems, and the matter's resolved from your perspective. So any one of you would like to address us, we'd love to have your perspective on it. Thank you. And that has a switch on it, the microphone there. And if you would just give your name and title, we would appreciate hearing from you on this topic. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Tony Trozzi. I am the general manager for Sodexo at Holyoke Public Schools.
My name is Ashley Plant. I am the district manager for Sodexo with Holyoke Public Schools.
Oh, great. Thank you both. And that, you could bring that down. That's, yeah, thank you so much. So walk us through what happened here and what do we need to make sure doesn't happen again so that everything goes smooth. We want the parochial school children to get the benefit of the breakfast and lunch program. It's something that we have done for decades, and we want to make sure that continues. So
Sure.
how do you see this kind of what happened, and is any changes that might have been put into place to make sure that we're good to go in the future? Thank you.
Sure. So back in June, when we were closing out the year, we were reviewing our finances and saw that there was a great deficit in the parochial schools. We were sending and they were asking for more meals than they were serving their children, which left a large deficit that Holyoke Public Schools was taking on for numerous amount of years. So we did a profit and loss statement to see what the numbers would actually come out to. And we did see that just last year alone, the two schools one school had a deficit of over $13,000, and then another school was having about $10,000 of a deficit. And that's just reimbursable meals, not including the waste. If you add the waste, the deficit was about $40,000 that Holyoke Public Schools took on last year to serve breakfast and lunches to the parochial schools. So it was discussed upon that potentially we would remove breakfast and lunch from those schools because they were not a Holyoke Public School. And then after further discussion, we've determined some gaps in communication, that a lot of it was coming from waste, and then also some labor cost that we were sending to their schools to run their programs. So in all, what we ended up doing was having better communication with them. They have been a lot better with their meal counts, being a lot more accurate, so there's not a lot of waste. And then as well, we are sending them monthly profit and loss statements so that they're aware of where they stand, that potentially it may not be something Holyoke Public Schools could continue to take on, but that's something that's in the future. For now, we're just working with them side by side to make sure that we are all on the same page.
And I would just like to add that during this communication that we had with them, we wholeheartedly did tell them we do want to continue service. We just have to change the service. So unfortunately, I think with that conversation, there was miscommunication of we're pulling out, and that was never the intention. We always wanted to serve our students. We just need to close the gap of the deficit. And looking at September, we are doing a much better job. We are on track. Tony has had wonderful communication with the principals, letting them know, hey, we're sending this. This is the waste. If this continues, this is the amount of money. And they have been wonderful to work with, and they just, have changed that tone.
Right. So, I think one of the big one is making sure we have the counts correct. And I would assume periodically, I don't know, is somebody auditing to check like if there's this many meals left over or what? And I don't, I also just generally, since when we think of quote unquote waste, I want to make sure we don't have any waste, especially when we have the hunger problems that we have in this society. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is both on the public school side and the parochial school side, if there are extra meals, either way, we're not just throwing stuff in dumpsters, I hope, right? Like we're finding ways to either, people have siblings, or can children take an extra meal home at the end of the day if either we make too much, or are we giving it to community organizations like a Kate's Kitchen or Salvation Army who are serving meals to the public? I mean, if we have those kind of situations, so can you kind of talk about when there are extra meals, like are we able to give those to children's families, or take extras, or help community organizations?
So that's a great question. We know that, in any food service program, there's going to be a waste issue. We try to mitigate it as much as possible. At this time, some does have to be disposed of due to food safety regulations and concerns that we may have. We unfortunately can't have leftover chicken patty after a 4-hour mark. It has to be disposed of per the food code. What we can do, which I have already had communication with, this was maybe right after COVID. The Means database is a wonderful program that we can kind of jump on board, and it's a way to say, hey, I have extra pasta, I have extra chicken, and they handle and can come and take it and bring it to different organizations. We haven't really started that program as of yet, but it is something that we are looking into. We also have a Sodexo program called Lean Path. It is a waste mitigation system where we are weighing all of our waste at our biggest production center, which is Holyoke High School, and that has proven data that it will reduce our waste at our biggest location. So there are different avenues that we can go to, but unfortunately we can't, give the extra food to the families, but we do have a wonderful backpack program that we partner with the food bank. And so every Friday we are sending non-perishable food home to students in need that we are notified from the schools. And how many backpacks are we up to? Last year it was like close to 200, but I'm not sure.
This week was 101, but it is still early on in the year, so we hope to get double that, if not a little more.
Okay.
We received a good amount of product from the food bank this past summer so that we can provide more meals.
Great. Counselor Greeny?
Yeah, thanks for coming down. What is the per pupil cost per meal, and is it equal between the public school and the parochial school?
Yes, it is.
And what is the cost per meal?
Look, you have it.
There's a couple numbers. So the food cost alone is $1.60 a meal for breakfast and lunch. But then there's the labor cost that's also included, the paper cost. Paper is 28 cents a student. And then I don't have the breakdown specifically for labor cost on a per pupil number.
The paper cost is a little bit higher actually at these schools than at let's say a Donahue Elementary School, and that is due to the way we have to package it. So they're pre-packaged meals, so hot entrees and cold entrees. So we have a hot entree that is in an Oliver container. It's a 3 container, it's sealed. That is more costly than the compostable tray that we use in the schools, and that's why you'll see that differential in the paper cost.
Now, do you deliver from a central location?
We do. It's coming from Holyoke High School.
So why would there be a discrepancy in cost?
So there's a discrepancy in cost because at Holyoke High School, for a Holyoke High School student that is there, they get a compostable tray. They come through the line. We have a lot of servers. We have a lot of different stations. So they only need really the tray. And if they want to grab a napkin or a spork or whatever, they have the option. With Mater Dei La Rosa and Blessed Sacrament, they have an Oliver tray that is 3 compartments. It's sealed. So because we have to transport it from one location to another, and for it to be a complete reimbursable meal, we do put the fruit, the vegetable, and the entree in there, seal it up, so that way service is quick and it's easy, and then they don't have someone there that has to like figure out what a reimbursable meal is. It's already done for them, and they can just hand it to the child.
Now, this cost is passed on to the parent of the child?
It is not. All of our students are eating at no cost currently at Mater Dei La Rosa and Blessed.
Okay, thank you.
And the cost of the tray is $1.44 for one tray and film.
Okay. And just while we're on the topic of cost, though, are you receiving assistance through, because Holyoke has no cost for school lunch program
Correct.
today, right? The state is coming. And is the state giving you reimbursement for the parochial school students?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So I just want folks to understand when we talk about, continuing, not continuing, you're being paid to prepare these meals to give to these children. It isn't like necessarily it's all taxpayer funded of, whether they're going, I don't know if you do anything for First Lutheran or not, but I know here, there is public assistance for these programs.
So the federal reimbursement rate for a lunch is, are we at $4.49?
Yes.
$4.49, and for breakfast it's $2.70. $2.84 for breakfast. So there is a federal reimbursement. We are getting that reimbursement for all breakfast and lunches that we serve throughout Holyoke Public Schools and Blessed Sacrament. Those reimbursements go directly to the district,
Okay.
And it goes into their general fund. Now, the problem that we were running into was we were sending, let's say, 100 breakfasts, and the parochial schools were only claiming 30 out of 100.
I see.
So
which is why we have to get the numbers right.
That's why we have to, we said, that is the crucial part. If we can get to where we need to be on that,
Yeah.
we are going to be in great shape.
Yeah, because if you serve the meals that are being served to a student, then you're good. You're getting the same reimbursement. That it's just like you said, you don't want to be non-reimbursable because there isn't a student to back up the meal.
Correct.
Exactly, yeah. School committee member Tensley Williams, please.
Thank you all for coming. Last year I got a chance to taste the food. It's delicious. Ashley, right?
Yes, Ashley.
You said that the deficit at one school was over 13,000. What was the amount for the other school?
So Mater Dei La Rosa had a deficit of $13,123 last year, and that's just reimbursable. That doesn't include their waste. And then Blessed Sacrament was $9,710 last year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions, members? Councilor Wellahan?
Yeah, thank you for your efforts and the information. You guys seem to have your act together. So I appreciate that. Yeah, the contract comes up periodically before the school board, so we do review the contract and the services that they provide. I know they worked for the city for many years, so I know we're always kind of tweaking the menu and just to make sure that the students are getting a healthy meal. It's unfortunate that there was some waste going on. Maybe maybe they had the parochial schools maybe had issues with their employees or lack of oversight, basically, which is unfortunate. As Counselor Jourdain said, there's food insecurity, so we want to make sure that everyone is getting a full meal. And I know the district makes every effort to make sure that our students are getting fed. Even during the COVID, we provided meals to the families during COVID. So again, just want to thank you for your efforts.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, school committee member Collmore. Yes, sir. Just speak into the microphone.
Yeah, just one thing, I'd like to thank Father Albert for his cooperation
Yeah.
in this matter, because
Yep.
it was so quick on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, I appreciate Sodexo's patience with everyone and working to come to a good outcome because these kids, they count on these meals and they do appreciate them. And I know the administration of the parochial schools is people who I value their opinion very much, and certainly they appreciate the service, and overall we appreciate the service. For our children, obviously Holyoke, we're a financially challenged community, to put it euphemistically as that, and our families need these meals. It wouldn't surprise me, quite frankly, if this is the best meals that some of these kids get every day. So, you're doing, critically important work to the community. It's not to be understated. I know it's something as simple as a meal, but boy, the correlation between the social determinants of health and children having a full stomach so that they can learn is just so important, and when you have a community like us where there is scarcity and there is poverty, to help these children, I mean, that's everything, right? So we so appreciate you bringing this to a positive outcome, to being thoughtful and considerate of everybody involved, and we deeply appreciate that. And thank you so much for your commitment and coming this evening too.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful evening. Colleagues, what do you think? I think this has been complied with. Would you agree?
Yeah.
All right. I would.
Motion that item 4 has been complied with.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. Item 4 is
Motion
all.
to take item 2 off the table.
Okay. Motion to go to item number 2. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? So moved. All right. We have from item 2 is an order introduced by Counselor Ocasio, which comes to us originally filed April 16th, 2024, which was before this committee back on June 13th. It reads, ordered that the school department provide a crossing guard at the corner of South Bridge and Sargent Street to protect the children and families crossing the street coming to and from Morgan School. This is a very dangerous situation that needs immediate attention. I know at our last council and school committee joint meeting, we discussed it with leadership from the school department that we're looking into it. I wanted to ask Dr. Mahoney, and I see Aaron is also, Linville is with us. I don't know if the school department has an update for the committee. Yes, Dr. Mahoney.
Okay, I'm on. Good evening, Stephen Mahoney, Assistant Superintendent, Holyoke Public Schools. The update is that there is currently a crossing guard at that intersection and has been there since the beginning of the school year.
Perfect. Okay. Counselor Ocasio, you originally filed this. Do you feel comfortable at this point, in light of that answer and update, that we can consider this complied with, or what's your opinion of the matter?
It's been complied with. They already put a crossing guard there at the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
And he's there every single day because I pass through there. And actually, he's my neighbor downstairs.
Oh, nice. So if he doesn't show up, you know right where to go, right?
It's been complied with.
All right.
Move
And-
that item 2 has been complied with.
Second.
Yeah, school committee member Willahen.
Thank you. I just want to thank the counselor for Ward 2 for looking out for the students.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and obviously, we're all very fond of Counselor Ocasio. She's always going the extra mile to look out for Ward 2. So thank you again for doing that. She's put, whether it's if there's a paper out of place blowing down the street, she's going to know about it. She's got she's got South Holyoke. She's really looking out for South Holyoke. Thank you. Yeah, exactly, yes. So there's a motion that this item has been complied with. All in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right.
Motion to take item 3 off the table.
Okay. Motion second to take item number 3 off the table. All in favor of that?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, item number 3 is an order introduced by Councilors Bartley, Graney, and Jourdain, filed on August 6, 2024, ordered that the school department, school committee, and receiver and mayor present a plan for the future of Metcalf School. We'd like to hear the long-term plans as well as the temporary ones. I would like the district to consider the city continuing use the school for its current purpose as a learning institution. If not in the plan, then let's consider it as a headquarters for the school department. Should a committee be formed? What plans are being discussed? The building erected in 1911 is iconic and should be preserved, and if needed, rehabilitated and repurposed for other city uses. Refer to the Holyoke Public Schools, the mayor, and the receiver, and our joint committee. It now stands here before the committee. Does the school leadership, Aaron or Steve, do you have an opinion yet on where you see Metcalf School going down the road? If you could give us some insights. Counselor Bartley in particular was the leader on this order, and we'd like to get a glimpse to the future of Metcalf School. Dr. Mahoney.
And I should just, I failed to mention that Superintendent Soto would be here, but he's away at a wedding of some really close family friends. So,
and I would note, in fairness to him too, Superintendent Soto did touch bases with me last week. He stays in touch with me regularly. And number 2, he was at our finance committee meeting the other night when we were talking about getting the new boiler for McMahon School, and the city council approved $150,000 extra for that. So on that note, yes, Receiver Soto is in close contact with us, Dr. Mahoney.
well, as you know, all students in the Metcalf Middle School will be relocated to the new middle school building, which is the former Peck School location, for the next school year. That project is on time and under budget at this point, and so we fully expect to open in August of 25. Our team has thought a lot about how the Metcalf building could be used, and we believe the following options are the front runners. Option 1, move Opportunity Academy to Metcalf. Currently, Opportunity Academy, the alternative high school campus, is located on Maple Street, right next to the bus station. School leadership continues to express that the space is tight and more space is needed. Moving this program to Metcalf would support the students in many ways. There are more classrooms and breakout spaces for small groups. Additionally, the students would have access to spaces they currently don't have access to, including a gym, a cafeteria, a first-level main office space, and multiple offices for private consultation and counseling. This move would eliminate the current lease expense, which is currently $50,000 on Maple Street, through Holyoke Community College, although there would likely need to be a small investment in furniture and other resources at Metcalf. That's option 1. And I should note, currently, OA's enrollment is 155 students with 16 full-time staff. Option 2, oh, yes.
That's the Opportunity Academy?
That's the Opportunity Academy,
Could you
yes.
repeat those numbers, please?
Yes, 155 students and 16 full-time staff.
Okay, great.
Option 2 would be to move the central office to the Metcalf building. We currently lease the central office at 57 Suffolk Street, and this has been a debate for many years in the city. If the central office were to move to Metcalf, capital investments would be required to turn a school into an office space. Renovations are estimated to be $750,000. Over time, we would recoup this investment because we would eliminate the Suffolk Street lease, which is currently $155,328 per year. However, there are important factors to consider. First, moving the central office away from downtown could impact local businesses downtown due to lower foot traffic. Second, being outside of downtown is an inconvenience for many families who rely on the school department being located so close to City Hall and all other city departments. So that's option 2. And then finally, the third option, option 3, the third front runner, is to turn over the building to the city. And the city could decide what to do with the Metcalf building. Superintendent Soto is interested in hearing what the city council would like to see in terms of next steps so that we can plan for the coming year. Option 1, in his opinion, would make the most sense and would require the least amount of investment.
Okay. All right, thank you for that report. I would also note the written version of that report is in our packets too. I'll start with School Committee Member Collmore.
Yeah, Doctor, did you look in, talking about the Metcalf School, if we move from Suffolk Street up to Metcalf, would there be enough parking area for staff up there?
For staff, well, we've looked at it, and I think that there's some variables involved there. There would be enough staff, probably enough parking for staff, but for families and for other folks who are coming in, finding parking may be more difficult than it is downtown.
Yes, thank you.
School Committee Member Tensley Williams.
I sure could. Option 1 would be to move Opportunity Academy, which is our alternative school, from its current location on Maple Street next to the bus station, and we would move those students and staff to the Metcalf building. Currently, there are 155 students and 16 full-time staff. Metcalf building offers some things that we consider standard for schools for Opportunity Academy, including a gymnasium, a cafeteria, a main office that's accessible to families as they enter the building, etc.
So that would not be a lot of traffic? Is that what you're saying?
Microphone.
There wouldn't be a lot of traffic?
You mean parking, or it would be certainly less than central office, since most of our students get to Opportunity Academy by foot, or they're dropped off, or they're taking the bus. They're not driving to and from the school.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Graney?
Yeah, quickly, Dr. Mahoney, how many students are there currently at Metcalf School that are going to be transferred over to the new?
Right now at Metcalf School, we're just south of 200 students.
And you have plenty of facility for those 200 students. I believe, is that the bilingual program, or is that autism?
The dual language program is currently runs at Ian White and Kelly Elementary Schools, at Sullivan Middle School, and then it's in its second year at Holyoke High School on the North Campus on Beach Street.
Well, what are the students at the Metcalf?
When we rezoned and reconfigured our schools, the dual language program moved to the middle school programming that we created at Sullivan School. It's always been and then over to Ian White, and then we've been expanding it so that it's accessible to more families throughout the cities at Kelly School. We're in our third year of the dual language program at Kelly.
Well, what program now exists at Metcalf School?
Oh, at Metcalf School, well, we have general education. It's a middle school program, grades 6 through 8. And we have special education students, English language learners, and then students who are in the gen ed program. So it is a typical middle school.
Is there any plan for a combination of either 1 and 2 to be combined?
Of moving the central office and Opportunity Academy. Currently, that's not on the table. But again, the superintendent is eager to hear ideas from you all and to explore the next steps.
You're also planning to be
We can't hear who's speaking.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi, my name's Erin Linville. I work in central office. There probably wouldn't be space for the 150 Opportunity Academy students and the 50-plus central office staff in that Metcalf building. It's not very big.
See, one of my concerns and many residents' concerns that's been going on for years and years and years is the rent at 57 Suffolk Street.
Sure.
That's a problem. It's a problem with the residents. It's a problem, certainly a problem with me. I've been here for a long time, and we've expended an awful lot of money. When we do have public school buildings or public buildings that should be available to house this, to house the school department offices. That's just an aside, okay, for you to think about.
Sure. I would also just mention, besides space considerations, moving a full district office into a school it brings some complexities in terms of who's coming in and out of the building and school safety and those kinds of things. So that would certainly be a complexity that we'd have to consider if we were taking that as an option.
Do you have any security at the 57 Suffolk Street for nighttime meetings, et cetera?
No, we do. We do not have security for nighttime meetings.
Thank you.
I will say our workspaces you can only enter by code. So for the nighttime meetings, you can walk into the general lobby, but in order to get to any conference room or any office space, you need to be able to have a code that will get you in through the doors.
However, the parking lot is diagonally across, is not?
That's correct. Yeah.
Do you, as a general rule, have nighttime meetings at 57 Suffolk Street?
Not frequently. No.
Yeah.
The school committee will have some subcommittee.
Okay. Subcommittee there?
meetings
Okay.
at Suffolk Street, but
Okay.
Generally speaking, if there are people in the building, it's because they're working late.
Okay.
And one other thing too, the elevator in that building is absolutely archaic, and it's very difficult for somebody who is handicapped accessible to get in and out with the parking situation. Thank you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I know we have a study report out. We talked some months ago about our different options, including some options which
Correct.
are no longer available, but there are a few. There's definitely, I'm sure, an ongoing discussion, including in here, that we had talked about the future of the school department headquarters. School committee member Willahen.
Thank you. Thank you for the options. I know we've talked about these issues for many years, the rent at central office. I know the lack of space of the Opportunity Academy. That's been an issue. I know we talked about supporting that program. I know Metcalf, again, has, just as this, our central office has issues there. Again, security, lack of on-street parking, that type of issues. This building has issues too, just being built in 1911. I mean, it looks bigger than it is. There's a gym right in the middle of it. I learned to play basketball in that gym. So
Poorly.
I got better.
They lower the hoop. You're still using the hoop, the sixth graders, I hope, are using.
I got much better. But that's my old stomping ground, so I'm familiar with how it used to be. I'm familiar with what it is now, I know the you gave a figure for just to rehab it to central office, $750,000. That seems a little light the way I'm looking at it, and just in terms of the facility as it stands. Mr. Calmore emphasized a lack of parking there. I mean, there's a couple spots in front, but it's really lacking. I know there's multiple lights there. Getting in and out is an issue during rush hour. So, for all, there's issues, and again, with downtown central office, plus this building itself, we want to make sure that we make the right decision on it. I know the building is old, but it has good bones. My first impression would be to go for the option number one, just to move the Opportunity Academy there, just to give that program better weight. So thank you.
Now, could you just educate me a little bit more about Opportunity Academy? Sure. Like what that is? Now, that's not to be mistaken for the sort of postgraduate student program that we were talking about, which was like maybe 30 or 40 students, correct?
Right,
That
that's
was-
different. That's different than the transitions program.
Thank you. Yeah,
Op-
tell me a
Opportunity
little bit
Acad-
about Opportunity Academy. Yeah.
Opportunity Academy is a unique educational program that is designed to serve students who are overage and undercredited.
I see.
So these are students who get to, say, junior year or even their senior year, and the distance between the credits they've earned and the 120 credits required to graduate is too large for them to bridge that gap within a year's time. And so they are offered personalized instruction. Going to Opportunity Academy is almost always, like in 99% of the time, a choice that families and students sign on to. Students who are at Opportunity Academy are Holyoke High School students. They are eligible for every single program, and whether that's curricular or extracurricular that's offered at Holyoke High School. And it has been one of the key kind of strategies that has brought more and more kids across the finish line at graduation.
That's
so
nice.
that they
Do they ultimately graduate with the Holyoke High class once they hit the 120?
They 100%.
And they become part of that class of that particular
so
year?
the Opportunity Academy students actually have a kind of a neat options. Opportunity Academy holds its own graduation celebration, and every Opportunity Academy student who has earned a diploma has the choice to walk with his or her or their former co-students, whether they came from the Dean campus or from the Holyoke High campus on Beach Street.
Oh, good.
So, so that's what happens there. Yeah.
School committee member Willoughby?
Yeah. Thank you again. Yeah, just to follow up on what Dr. Mahoney said. I know they have their own, Opportunity Council has their own separate graduation.
Yeah.
That was held at the War Memorial Building. My two colleagues joined me in supporting them at their graduation.
Were any poems read?
She did run a poem.
Okay, just want to make sure. Want to make sure everybody's getting those poems.
It wouldn't be a Holyoke graduation.
Just
It wasn't a
checking,
intensive poem.
just making sure there's consistency throughout the district. Please continue.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very nice ceremony. Most of the students had personal stories that they shared. Their mentors were there. So everyone had their own little story on how they achieved their status and their graduation. It was really heartwarming. So just want to say that. Thank you.
That's nice. Age-wise, is there you're strictly educating me at this point, is there an age cap that you can participate? Like, as long as you're making steady progress, they don't like if you're 24, they kick you out or anything like that, or is it then they like force you into a GED type program?
Yeah,
or?
we don't force anyone into anything
Okay.
at Opportunity Academy, and oftentimes many of our students are older than the typical seniors you would find on either the Dean or the Holyoke High campus, in large part because many of them have had some kind of interruption,
Sure.
significant interruption to
Yeah.
their educational experience, especially in grades 9, 12. So
Right.
we do have more older students at OA, a higher proportion of older students at OA than we do at the other two campuses.
That's great that we don't, give up on those kids. As long as they don't give up on themselves. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Don't give up on, and we won't give up on you. So that's great. Counselor Green?
Yeah, out of curiosity, do you have an exit strategy from this particular school, where the graduates go, what their future plans are, et cetera?
I don't have the specifics on the data on what the students are doing. Several will go on to Holyoke Community College, Springfield Technical Community College. Several will go on into the trades. Many, quite frankly, are working while they're in school. I mean, one of the things that's different about Opportunity Academy is that it holds different hours for students,
okay.
and so and allows students to earn what we call micro credits as they are attending. So unlike at, say, Holyoke High School, where you get credits at the end of the semester, at Opportunity Academy, kids are earning credits every single day. Micro credits, but they add up. And if they take care of business, they can really accelerate getting the credits they need to graduate.
Yeah, the same thing. Do you have exit strategy for the students that graduate from Dean and Holyoke High School?
Yeah, so we know where they go when they leave. We don't have, I wouldn't be able to say that we've got really strong data on where students are 2 or 3 years later. We send out surveys, and not everyone's, we get low response the few times that we've done the surveys. We do receive from local colleges updates on students from Holyoke High School, so we get a sense of how Jay Wellahan's doing, if he's over at Western New England University, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Or if, Kevin Jourdain is still at that second-rate Ivy League school.
That's it. He didn't go to Harvard, so.
I was talking about Brown.
Yale's doing all right, though. Yale's doing all right.
Yes, he is.
Hey, question, as we think about timeline from here, obviously we're mindful of August 2025, right, where the transition will go out. In terms of from right now to August of 2025, how do you best, or the receiver, what's his general impression of how we best vet these options, come to a decision? Is the view this is something the school committee is going to work out, and in consultation with the mayor and the city council and other, city leaders, so that, we arrive at this as a plan to have a community meeting or some sort of survey of the district? What's the approach to get to the right answer or a consensus answer? And then how do we make sure we marshal the resources in place so that is the vision that, you have a current lease or arrangement with HCC here, if option one is ultimately selected, that the timeline works, that like for end of August, one flips there. So, we got the new school, day one, okay, all them Metcalf kids are gonna start over at Peck, and then we can get the, if we go the direction of Opportunity Academy, then those kids, day one for September, can be starting at Metcalf. What's the vision to make this decision and then making sure everything runs on time?
Yeah, I think that the superintendent really wants to hear from the school committee and the city council, what timeline and what level of engagement and collaboration they want to have in the process. I know for sure that Superintendent Soto is working with his facilities team and his finance team to get the details on. So, I was able to give you an estimated cost of what it would take to refurbish, Metcalf so that it become an office, space.
The number we saw in the prior study report was a heck of a lot higher than that, just so you're aware. So if that would be the probably more bare bones approach, that was one of the options in the future home of the school department. That was like one of 3 options.
Right. So my sense is that Superintendent Soto is going to want to, connect with the mayor and with the city council, and obviously with the school committee to think through like what the next steps are. I do know that he believes that the 2 options that I share with you today are the best 2 options as far as the school is concerned.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I would say, and I think everyone hopefully on the committee would agree with me, that we're highly engaged. We want to be engaged. I think the school committee and city council would most certainly want to be consulted and be part of this and have, milestones here between now and then, so that over, say, the next 6 or 8 months, we kind of arrive, because I think you've got to be ready to, decision would have to be made by X, and if we need certain configurations, you'd probably, if kids are getting out, say, by beginning of June-ish, out of the middle school, you really need to capitalize on that summer to have the building is empty and whatever direction we're going in, you can make these type of transitions. So I think we need to get leadership to have like decision points and milestones in place, and then I think we should probably end up tabling this tonight and have folks back, and let's develop a plan to get this a decision in place.
That's my idea. Item number 3, move to table.
All right, just before we recognize that motion, was there any other dialogue we want to have tonight on this? But this is a good first meeting.
So will the subcommittees meet?
Microphone. The whole world wants to hear you.
Will the subcommittees meet first and then the whole school board?
Yeah, again, I think I would give that to Mr. Soto and Ms. LaFave and the mayor to kind of really figure out what that timeline is. I'd probably be out. I'd be stepping out.
Okay,
I,
all right. Thank you.
But please report back to him, though, that
1,000%.
this is what we're looking for here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
I should also mention that the move-out dates are important, but so too are budget dates.
exactly.
Because if we're going to be making some
And
changes,
put some dollars in place here.
we want to make sure that, sometime in February, March, when we're making our budget solid, that we've got the money for whatever we're planning. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, if there's nothing
Motion
further
to
for.
table.
Motion's been made and seconded to table. That's not debatable. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 3 is tabled.
Move to take item 5 off the table.
Okay, motion to take item number 5 off the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, item number 5, let me just make sure I go back to my main agenda here. I want to do this all justice. Here we go. Item number 5 is a communication from the Holyoke Teachers Association to the mayor and the school committee that was received by the joint committee on September 4th, 2024. In it, they speak about the process to hire a superintendent. I'll just hit the highlights here of this. It said, when the state took over the Holyoke Public Schools in 2015, one of the main objections to receivership was the loss of local control. A central feature of public education and the role in communities is shaping their local schools to best meet the needs of students, families, and educators. It's imperative that to demonstrate that Holyoke takes this responsibility seriously, Holyoke residents and other stakeholders need to know and believe that they have a right and responsibility to weigh in on the decisions affecting students and educators. It's also vitally important to establish at the outset that the process by which Holyoke makes decisions about its schools is both democratic and transparent. Hiring a superintendent, the city's first in more than 9 years, is just such a crucial decision that deserves a robust community discussion. While Anthony Soto has provided valuable leadership in moving Holyoke Public Schools out of receivership, it would not be fair to him, the educators and students and families of Holyoke to automatically appoint him as the new superintendent. The members of the Teachers Association are urging the school committee to engage in a transparent and authentic hiring process, and we hope that Mr. Soto participates in that process. Even more importantly, we want the school committee to invite the community into the process. The hiring of the new superintendent is our first test as a community taking back control of our schools. The HTA wants this essential hiring to be a process that establishes how decisions are made. For these reasons, the members of the Taxpayer Association are calling on the school committee to launch an authentic search and hiring process when Holyoke exits receivership for filling the role of superintendent. Sincerely, and it's signed by quite a number of teachers and the executive board members of the HTA. So this is now before us for discussion. Let's see, I believe there were some comments. I'll let, if Dr. Mahoney wants to give the receiver's perspective on the communication, and then I'd love to hear so far what the school committee's take on it. Obviously, we're not out of receivership yet, but I think what they're hearkening to is they see the trajectory, and we're all, very happy with that. That maybe a decision will be made after this school year that starting the following school year, We will get our local control back. I'm sure there'll be some big decisions to make in 2025 at the state level around that. And obviously, if we were to do that, then what would this process look like? And are we getting enough tea leaves to read at this point that, is this something that we could conceivably start in the spring to have a decision in place? Because normally these type of transitions take place at the end of school years. So the new leader would have an opportunity over the summer to be able to put certain things in place to start the school year strong. So with that, I would turn it over to Dr. Mahoney to give us some insights as to where Mr. Soto and others think we're at with this.
Yeah, I think I have 3 points. The first is just to say that I cannot tonight give you any sense of timeline or timing on the decision to return to local control. The commissioner has been clear that he believes that Holyoke is on that path, and that he's been working with the school committee to define that path and walk down that path. We just don't know what that timeline is at this point. The second point that I would make is that the superintendent's response to the letter and his thinking on that is that, by definition, whatever the elected school committee decides to do as the owners of this process, once it starts, that by definition it's a democratic process, because they are the elected representatives of the citizens of Holyoke. And then the third point is that I will speak for myself, but I will say that in contrast to other receivers in other parts of the state, Superintendent Soto has really worked super hard to be a partner with the school committee, to include them in major decisions, and to make sure that they are kept abreast of what's happening in the schools, why it's happening, and to seek their support in everything from rezoning and reconfiguring schools to curriculum adoptions, to platforms that we're bringing in to the schools. And so I see no reason why the superintendent would not continue to cooperate with the school committee during whatever process they deem is best for the schools in the city of Holyoke.
I guess I'll just put it out there. I'm going to put him on the spot. Is it Anthony's intention that if we have a process next year, he wants to be the long-term superintendent or receiver of the Holyoke Public Schools? That I don't know. Has that word gone out there, or is this something like, I did this, but now I'm gonna, use that as my entry to go do something else? Or we haven't heard anything. He hasn't.
I would be able to answer that one way or the other.
All right.
What I can tell you is that Anthony is super proud of the work that he and his team have accomplished, and that he is having fun doing the job, and hasn't slowed down yet. So, I'm here because Anthony's here.
Right.
So
great. Great.
And I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Good. Councilor Greaney.
Yeah, selecting a superintendent is a very complicated process. Generally speaking, one of the most important things for a superintendent is, first of all, to have the credentials, have the certification of the state, or from whatever state the superintendent might come. There are many facets to the selection, and the stakeholders are many, and I'm sure that the school committee is going to want to hear from a multitude of people as far as the selection of the superintendent is concerned. And certainly this committee would also love to be involved in the process at some point in time. Thank you.
So school committee members, this one's really kind of more in your court at the moment. What's the general tenor? Enlighten Holyoke. What's the general tenor on, you've received this letter from the HTA. What's the general tenor of you and your colleagues about the superintendent search, starting with Mr. Willihan?
Thank you. Thanks again. Yeah, just to follow up on what Mr. Graney said, it's the selection of a superintendent is it's a highly complicated process. I served on the search committee 10 or when we hired Dr. Paez back in the day. So I know we had a consultant that led us through the process. We had a search committee. We interviewed a number of candidates. So I'm assuming that process will go forward. Right now, we're still in receivership. Our next meeting, we're gonna get an update from to review the superintendent hiring process. What goes into it? Again, I've already been through it, but many of my colleagues haven't. Just to follow up on the comments on Mr. Soto. Again, he's under no obligation to even include the school committee in any decisions. He's really not. That, again, it's to his credit that he's included the committee in all the decisions that's going on right now. Again, we're going through additional training from finance and for the school finance operations, setting new policies. We're updating our policies that haven't been updated in over a decade. So we're working hard on that. Reviewing our educational offerings for the students. So again, the school committee is right now in a partnership with Mr. Soto. That's where it stands now. So again, to follow up on Dr. Mahoney, he's included the schools in all his decisions. So I just want to thank Mr. Soto and his cabinet for the hard work that they're doing.
School committee member Tinsley Williams.
There's a protocol that needs to be followed in order to get a superintendent. It's going to be tough. We've been without one for so long. Mrs. Soto did a great job so far. But if we follow the steps that we need to follow the rules, I'm sure we're going to end up with a good superintendent. And I'm going to be praying that it doesn't take a long time for us to get this done. So just thank you guys tonight.
Okay. Mr. Collmore?
Yeah, excuse me. Along those lines, we're working on it. We've been working on it for a long time because we assume that it's going to happen. We're going to get back receivership, which is a great thing for the city of Holyoke. Mm-hmm. So we knew we had to do this. So we've been planning whether to keep it in-house, not the superintendent, but keep it in-house on the selection process.
Okay.
Okay? Some of us are saying, should we do it just by ourselves and go out and ask for applications for the position? Or we even thought about what we did before was hire a company to do it. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's a company, association, the Massachusetts School Committee Association. They do this for the city of Holyoke and work with us on the process and how to go about getting it, even to go resumes throughout the country, mm-hmm. rather than just local resumes or something like this. So we are working on that process, and we've also notified the receivership from the state that we are doing our job and we're looking properly for the best way to get the best superintendent there possibly is, and that's what Holyoke deserves, is the best.
Absolutely.
So we're working on it.
Okay.
Working on it, and we really should, and we are going to continue to do this. Look at selection of, and a lot of us here are thinking about going to hire a professional company to come in here and sit with us and talk to us about what we should be looking for. You know, a lot of us, fortunately, have gone through the process before when we hired the superintendent of schools. So I really think that we haven't let down the public one single bit.
Okay.
We are working and working and working to do it right.
Okay. Very good. Obviously, you know, this is be a very involved process, and I would just encourage the school committee. I mean, obviously, ultimately, it's your decision, but I would encourage you to make sure you have the resources you need to make sure you have, the candidates you need, right? One of the things that has hampered important hiring processes in Holyoke in the past is we just didn't get the candidates. And then you end up having one candidate, and then it's how robust is that, you know? And really, this one's going to be big. This is going to be big because, man, we goof this up again. I mean, if we get local control back and we fumble the football, good Lord on all of us, right? I mean, we just cannot lose local control ever again, right? So we got to make sure whoever this new visionary leader is going to be for our city, they've got to be real solid, real top shelf, somebody who is going to, you know, they've got a big job ahead of them to lead this department, right? Whether it's Mr. Soto continuing or it's whoever leader number 2 is, this is going to be a big, big job to manage us going forward because we've got some high expectations. I think, though, the good news is that whoever the next leader is going to get a lot of support from the state because I think the state, if they do give us back local control, a lot of us who obviously have been advocating for local control to return, we're also not fools either.
That's right.
And we have to be humble enough to admit that we've made some mistakes in the past, right? And so we're asking the state, give us the keys back, but keep us close, right? Keep us close, and I would encourage the state to even put advisors near us to be watching and monitoring. And, you know, is the school committee meeting and doing what are they talking about the topics that they should be? And is the administration doing the things it needs to do? And, you know, on all of the different facets that now they're totally, I think what you do is, you know, you sort of nudge the bird out of the nest and then eventually it flies. You know, that's my point on all of this. And whoever this new leader is going to have to be very multidimensional and have a strong skill set and a lot of experience and understand the needs of this district. And I think you're going to need to have a firm or somebody probably to help you with all of this, you know, within reason. You know, so I guess where I'm going with that also is to say, that takes time to roll that out. So I just hope the state gives you the time you need in order to put that type of a process in place because you're never going to get candidates until you're told you can actually hire someone, right? No one's going to apply if there's nothing to apply to. So there's got to be, hopefully, whenever it is they make their decision, it's at least, you know, 6 months or something or 5 months before like a decision by the committee has to be made. So I'm really intrigued to see how that works out because if they give you almost like a 1-year warning, right, or whatever we're going to call it, that September of 25 or September of 26 is going to be the transition, you know, I'm really interested to see how that rolls out. Mr. Wilhelm.
Thank you again. Yeah, our next meeting, we're having someone in from the Mass Teachers Association, right? That's a topic that's going to be discussed for our local control subcommittee. So if anyone that's interested in the process, I suggest they tune in or attend the meeting. Thank you.
Great. All right. Oh, yes, Aaron.
I just, to Councilor Greeny's point about having city council's interest in being involved, just a reminder that the mayor and the school committee has this community advisory team that they're reviewing the applications for on Monday. And when we met with local control last Monday, there was not a city council member interested in serving on it yet, but that's a series of 4 meetings, and they're looking at superintendent evaluation. And I almost think like that's almost, to me, seeming to be one of the like foundational steps towards in the process. It's in part of that capacity building plan. So if a city councilor wants to serve on that, that application's still up, and I can email it to you if someone's interested, because they're reviewing the applications on Monday, and Irene just asked me tonight for everyone who applied.
Okay, and the name of the committee is called?
It's the Community Advisory Team, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just, if it's okay, Kevin, Councilor Jade, I can forward it to you from
Would
my
you
phone
again?
right
Yeah,
now.
I'll
That
take a
way
look
you-
at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Collmore.
You know, along the lines of communications, and that's just very, very important. Communications with the school committee, communications with the city council, even the community.
Right.
Get the community involved in this, because it's that important. What we've been doing in cooperation with this is asking the state, what are you going to give us some input on the hiring of a superintendent, and can you give us some way in which to do this? Should we open it up to a special contractor to do the work for us, or do in-house or whatever? But the main thing, and I told not the new, but the superintendent of education for the state, that cooperation is the most important thing. That's why we want to talk with you and discuss these matters before we jump into this wholeheartedly and then go way off board.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing is cooperation. Talk to one another and find out what is the best interest of the city.
Okay, very good. I agree. That's a nice comment. All right, I think I would recommend that we table this item on the basis that we're going to have to sort of see how this all plays out, right? Well, it's either that or we just consider it received and then we file a different order once we know more about the process. What do you think? I think tabling.
Table,
Okay,
yes.
very good. All right. So motion's been made and seconded to table. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. All right. Our last item of the evening is an order introduced by Councilor Bartley, which is that the administrative assistant add a page to the city's website that highlights Holyoke's Sister City program. So far, as best as I can tell, there are sister city relationships with Salinas, Puerto Rico, Tralee, Ireland, and Slavalvia. How do you pronounce it? Tralee, Ireland. That one I got okay. But how about I had the pronunciation. Slavalvia. Yes, Ukraine. And my Ukrainian is not too good. I apologize. And that he asked that we receive and adopt this, and that the joint committee, as an FYI, as I'm hoping there could be an educational component for HPS students. And so one, I wanted to ask, I don't know if Jeff can weigh in. He's sort of got the microphone in the back there somewhere. If there's an ability to add I think the vision is, and I like this idea, is if we did something on the Holyoke page that talks about our sister cities and a little bit about the background of these different communities that we're partnered with, and I'll ask Jeff, is that possible?
Oh, that would be very easy to do. When this order came through, so I actually reached out to Nilka in the mayor's office to see if we could get copies of any proclamations or statements that were made when the sister city relationships were established, so that it's not just like a list, because that's not very interesting to just have a list of cities. It should have backup content and other highlights to make it more interesting. So I thought that would be one part to add to it, but certainly some educational content to it would make it much more interesting.
Okay, that would be nice. And I think one of the things of why it also came before this committee is there's an opportunity for an educational moment. And I think what Councilor Bartley was perhaps hinting at was, could the Holyoke Public Schools consider maybe, I believe there's still a Holyoke history class that's taught at the high school. I also believe that there's other opportunities to have discussions about maybe a little bit about these three communities, and maybe either a student for either extra credit or something like this could maybe write up a little something about these communities, maybe something like its similarities to Holyoke. Like, for example, I remember one of the things as I was kind of thinking about this order myself and reflecting on it was, I think of like Salinas, Puerto Rico, has a Congressional Medal of Honor winner from it. And of course, Holyoke has 3. And this type of connection, the gentleman from Salinas was a tremendous war hero from Vietnam. And I remember the story reading about him where he had the Viet Cong had thrown a hand grenade into a pit that him and other soldiers were on, and just selflessly dove on this grenade and sacrificed his life to save the other troops. And for that gallantry, he received the Congressional Medal of Honor, rightly so. And he's honored in Salinas, Puerto Rico, for this. That would be something nice, to talk about him. Tralee, Ireland also has other similarities about Holyoke. I know in Ukraine, this particular community, as I recall, is also a city on a river. And I think of Holyoke and us in the Connecticut River, and how it's sort of an industrial town. Oh, I remember in Tralee, I believe one of the things that I found noteworthy was they have a parade every year. And as I recall, the parade started the exact same year as our St. Patrick's Day parade. It began in like 1959. And they have this annual festival with this parade. And it reminded me and harkened back to us and how we celebrate the St. Patrick's Day parade here in Holyoke. So, just something like that. If maybe, if you could take back that, maybe we could encourage maybe some high school students to do something like that about maybe our sister relationships. I think that would be nice to include on the website of the city, maybe with some pictures of these other communities and our connection to these different communities and Holyoke. I think that would be nice. Yes, Howie.
Just quickly, there's 3 Holyokes in the United States of America. The one that we currently live in, there's a Holyoke, Colorado, and I believe there is a connection to Holyoke, Massachusetts in that community. And there is another Holyoke, and I'm not sure, it's a very small town somewhere, but the irony...
Minnesota.
Is it in Minnesota?
Yeah.
But the irony of Holyoke, Colorado is their school colors are green and gold, which were the former Holyoke Catholic school colors, so.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be interesting to find out more information about that. I've done a little bit of research, but, you know, it could be an interesting thing for our students to reach out to.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Holyoke, Colorado was named after Holyoke, Massachusetts. Because apparently people knew about Holyoke, and of course, you know, back in the heyday, Holyoke was really the community. Really, you know, like, I mean, our industrial background, I mean, people would come here, we had souvenir shops. People be coming, if you can, you know, believe it now, but there'd be people talking about, I got a souvenir because I visited Holyoke, you know? So, there was a lot happening here. Yes.
I can certainly bring this to Rebecca Thompson and our academic team, and
Thank you.
put a challenge in front of our teachers, and you know, throughout the grades. Right, it doesn't necessarily need to be the high school. I mean, middle school kids and
Sure,
and
absolutely.
elementary school kids could learn from it as well. So we'll bring this to the academic team and
Consider it.
and then have something. You know,
Yeah, that would be really nice. Okay. And then you obviously can coordinate with Jeff, to our assistant, and he'll work with putting, you know, something about this on the website, and we'll take it from there.
Great.
All right, thank you so much. Committee members, I think this item's been complied with. All right. Okay, motion's been made and seconded that item number 6 has been complied with. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. That is the end of our agenda, so
Move to adjourn?
a motion's been made, and is there a second?
Second.
Second to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning? Opposed, so moved. All right, 7:50, we call it a wrap. Wonderful meeting, as always. Great to see all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, school department, for being such an active participant. Yeah, good to see you guys. Take